was the focus of stakeholders at the 2016 International Cashew Festival in Ilorin, Kwara State. Ranked as the 4th largest producer of cashew in Africa, the 10th largest in the world, Nigeria produced over 160,000 metric tons in 2015 and exported a meager 10% of the processed value chain. Correspondent Abdul Hafiz Alaya reports that experts say this trend must be reversed and called for injection of more funds into agribusiness to secure the fortunes of the country.
Cashew is identified as one of 5 agricultural products among 30 national strategic export products for Nigeria.
For us to increase our foreign exchange earnings, diversify our agricultural products, develop our agro industry, and of course, provide employment for our active youths.
The interesting thing, sir, is that while the oil prices going down, cocoa, cashew, they're going up.
Nigeria has a land, cultivatable land area of about 84 million hectares to become number 1 in the world.
17 out of the 36 states of the Federation grow cashew in commercial quantity. Let's now take a look at the closing figures this Thursday. Thanks for being there. The bulletin continues. Good evening.
Thank you, Vivian. Sokoto, the seat of the Caliphate, is where we go next. Fatih is standing by on the conference on the study of history and other stories.
Welcome to Sokoto. University dons have attributed the current story state of Nigeria to the total removal of religious studies and history from the nation's curriculum of education. This came to the fore at the opening of a 3-day and first national conference organized by the Faculty of Arts and Islamic Studies, Usman Danfodio University, Sokoto. Dalhatu Abdullahi has the details.
The theme of the conference is the role of religion, history, and the language in the security, integration, and the development of Nigeria. Declaring the conference open, representative of Governor Amin Waziri Tambol, the secretary to the state government, Professor Bashar Garba, said the theme of the conference is in line with the declaration of President Muhammadu Buhari looking for a solution to the nation's problems. In his keynote address, Professor Abubakar Mustafa of the Center for Quranic Studies, Bayero University, Kano, challenged the northern governors, Imayas, and Islamic organizations to call for a national conference on curriculum of Islamic education.
Now that it is not part of our educational system at all, it has been taken out. Islamic studies is taken out, even in the secondary school.
Convener of the conference, Dean Faculty of Art and Islamic Studies, Professor Mukhtar Umar Bonza, faulted Nigerian government for removing the study of history from the nation's curriculum of education at the time when the developed nations are making it compulsory to their students at all levels of education.
You can make progress if you know where you come from. Then you arrange from where you are so that you can reach where you are going to be in the future. But if you do not know history, how are you going to make progress? From where? You are suspended. You are in a limbo.
194 papers are expected to be presented during the 5-day conference by resource persons from within and outside Nigeria. In Sokoto, Dalhatu Abdullahi, NTA News.
That's our contribution. Is back to Funke in Abuja.
Thank you very much, Fatih. And still on Network News, we have the report on the latest FIFA ranking. Please stay tuned.
Cousins Consulting, in collaboration with NTA TV Enterprises, is inviting vice chancellors, rectors, and provosts to a 360-degree strategic blueprint summit for higher education institutions' impacts, tagged International Executive Management and Leadership Program for Heads of Tertiary Institutions in Africa. It is an opportunity to relearn, network, and re-strategize on how to profitably manage institutions as world-class businesses without compromising on institutions' social responsibilities. Speakers include Dr. Kali Cousins, Professor Alan Lindsay, Professor Jerome Jeff Ohanaja, Professor B.E.B. Nwoke, and Professor Razina Jumani. Date 14th to the 18th of March 2016 at Sheraton Daria Hotels, Dubai. For inquiries,
Are you aware that the death percentage attributed to Lassa fever cases is currently put at 43.2%, a figure considered very high? Lassa fever, an acute viral illness characterized by high fever, muscle aches, mouth ulcers and bleeding in the skin, is harbored by rats and spread to humans via the urine and droppings of rats. To prevent Lassa fever, avoid any exposure with rodents, rats, as well as food and objects contaminated with rat secretions and excretions. Report all suspected cases of Lassa fever immediately to the nearest healthcare institution. Help prevent Lassa fever. This message is from the federal government of Nigeria.
Good to have you back. Governments of Tanzania and Kenya celebrate road link, and Somalian journalists linked to Al-Shabaab militant sentenced to death. These among global tidbits with Talatu Izerike.
Cultures are the best as Tanzania President John Magufuli and his Kenya counterpart Uhuru Kenyatta laid a foundation stone to revamp a major road link between the two countries that will boost economic ties. The project is being funded by the African Development Bank, the Japanese government, and the East African Communities Trading Bloc. Similarly, Kenya government is launching a scheme to provide all first-year primary school pupils with laptops. Still in Africa, reports say that the Lord's Resistance Army Rebel Force has abducted 217 people this year in the Central African Republic. In Somalia, a military court has sentenced to death a former journalist accused of masterminding the killings of other Somalian journalists. The accused is said to be a member of the Islamic militant Al-Shabaab group. And last lap of the trials of a Ukrainian pilot accused of killing 2 Russian journalists. The pilot, if found guilty, is to be jailed for 23 years. That is along Global Tidbits. Talati Ezarike, NTA News.
Nigeria's Super Eagles, now 62nd in the world, remain 11th in Africa in latest FIFA rankings, just as coach Samson Siasia unveils Super Eagles team list for March 25 and 29, 2017 African Cup of Nations qualifiers against Egypt. Kene Imabudikpe takes us from there on Sports Update.
Nigeria rose up 1 spot to 62nd position in the world, remaining 11th on the continent according to the latest FIFA rankings released Thursday. In February's grading, the Super Eagles moved 3 places to 63rd despite their early exit from the 2016 African Nations Championship, CHAN, in Rwanda.
For me, it's an improvement. It's a good one that we are moving gradually, but still a far cry to where we should be in world football.
Cape Verde lead in Africa, followed by Cote d'Ivoire, Algeria, Ghana and Tunisia in the top 5. Meanwhile, Belgium maintained top spot in the world with Argentina, Spain, Germany and Chile trailing. Interim coach of the Super Eagles, Samson Siasia, Thursday in Abuja unveiled a provisional 42-man list of players for the double-header 2017 Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers against Egypt, March 25th in Kaduna and 29th in Alexandria. The team, which has 20 foreign-based players and 22 home-based players, is a blend of old and young players believed to be active at their various club sites. The list is expected to be further pruned down to a final 22 as the players are expected to begin early campaign.
We worked mostly on tactics and how we have to play against them. I haven't watched their videos on the I like to exploit in those areas that we think we can. We're going to play this game on the half of the field and be careful on just fast breaks and all that.
All the best, and let's take a quick check on the weather prospects.
Thank you for joining us on today's weather segment. We observed some cloud buildup as far as the central states, and at the same time some northern cities are still under the influence of thick dust haze, impairing their visibility as low as 1,000 meters. And for the details, we expect some prospects of localized showers over Lagos cities in the morning hours, while the rest of the south are expected to be cloudy. The central states are expected to have partly cloudy to increased cloudiness during the forecast period. And as the day progresses into the afternoon and evening hours, we expect some more build-up of activities over the coastal belt and the inland cities of the south to have localized thunderstorms, especially areas around Port Harcourt, Calabar, Eket, and environs. And for the temperatures across the cities in Nigeria, let's take a look.
Well, that's NTA Network News. Thanks for being there. Good night and God bless.
This is the network service of the NTA.
If you hear a bomb explosion or gunshots of an active shooter, that might be a terror attack. At such times, always remember 3 action words: run, hide, report. Don't try to run towards the terror scene to save the situation, because there might be a second bomb blast or another attack. Run far away and take cover. Make sure you are safe first. Yes, it is in our nature to sympathize over the hurt, but remember, only trained personnel can help in such situations. When in a secured environment, promptly call relevant authorities and help will come. For anonymous reporting, call 09630-3250-5 or 0813-2222-106. If you see something, say something. Nigeria unite against terrorism. This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
Always, we have lived together as brothers and sisters since long time in Muriva, without no mind that we have spoken different languages and celebration our cultural and diversity. No bombing, no cultism, no kidnapping. Nowadays our children are trampoline to cultists. Today we are suspicion one another. All this notorious behavior have scattered all over Nigeria. When are you going to change? More. When are you going to stop? Terrorism are unwanted visitors. Kidnapping are criminal. Cultism are barbaric. Do not destroy this country, oh. Our country, Nigeria, are blessed, oh. Are you see what I'm saying? Support Nigerian police force in their civil war against terror, kidnapping and cultism. Report any bad move around you. See and not talk, I kill old age. And to hear and does not behavior, I kill small picking. All of us have the duty of building Nigeria free of crime. That are our dream.
This message is from the Nigeria Police Force.
Are you aware that the death percentage attributed to Lassa fever cases is currently put at 43.2%, a figure considered very high? Lassa fever, an acute viral illness characterized by high fever, muscle aches, mouth ulcers and bleeding in the skin, is harbored by rats and spread to humans via the urine and droppings of rats. To prevent Lassa fever, avoid any exposure with rodents, rats, as well as food and objects contaminated with rat secretions and excretions. Report all suspected cases of Lassa fever immediately to the nearest healthcare institution. Help prevent Lassa fever. This message is from the Federal Government of Nigeria.
Convocation ceremonies of the University of Lagos, which started on the first day of March 2016, has finally come to a grand climax Thursday, 3rd of March 2016. A total of 10,907 students were awarded various degrees, first degrees, PhDs, master's degrees, and of course postgraduate degrees. And of course, the third day of the convocation witnessed the installation of the 7th Chancellor of the University of Lagos and the pressing of His Royal Eminence, Alhaji Dr. Abubakar Ibn Umar Garbai El Kanemi GCFR, who also is the 20th Sheikh of Borno.
We also appreciate the support of EcoBank, Access Bank, and Wema Bank. We thank UniOld and LA Obosi for supporting these convocation ceremonies. We are appreciative of the cooperation we have received from NTA, Channels TV, TVC, and members of the mass media. We want to thank everybody who has contributed towards making this event a success. Senate, we appreciate you. Academic staff, we appreciate you. Registry, bursary, works, and physical planning staff, we thank you. Members of staff of the medical center, the security unit, ISL band, we appreciate you. Students of the University of Lagos, led by the Student Union, we appreciate you. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I will now invite the National President of the University of Lagos Alumni Body, in the presence of, in the person of the Honorable Dr. Sonny F. Kuku, OFR, to administer the alumni pledge. Dr. Kuku, please.
These are very, very important alumni, doctors of philosophy, masters of philosophy, and so on and so forth, and members, alumni who are present, who are already old alumni. I can see former registrar, Senator Gulewe, Vice President. Can you please stand up with me? Even those
of conducting businesses in densely populated locations, our nation's bright future is better assured with the active involvement of our universities on issues affecting every facet of the nation's growth and development. UNILAG, and indeed other universities, through their relevant faculties, must therefore continue to define their own unique roles in relation to the objective that better them and with respect to impacting their immediate environment. The university must therefore, in close consultation with the National University Commission, begin to develop new benchmark minimum academic standards at PG level for such programs as tourism, hospitality industry, and management, which could leverage on huge number of people that visit or transit through Lagos on a daily basis, and the aesthetic and commercial values of the Lagos Lagoon and Ocean Shoreline. Your immediate natural environment lends itself to the study of such environmentally relevant subjects as oceanography, deep sea and marine science, and general seafaring and marine transportation. In this endeavor, government advocates a new partnership, federal government, state government, private sector, and the host community. We must set our sights high with respect to national development, since countries of the world have collectively agreed to frame their agenda and policies around the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. We must aspire to interpret and adopt the attainment of these goals to our unique circumstances as a nation. Universities must begin to mainstream them in their teaching, learning, research, and community service activities so that their immediate environments are profoundly impacted. Nigeria is signatory to the Biodiversity Convention after the Rio de Janeiro X Summit in 1992. This has been encapsulated in the Millennium Development Goals and subsequently in the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. They include education, poverty, zero hunger, good health and well-being, climate action, life below water, life on land, clean water and sanitation, and so on and so forth. Nigerian universities must start to address these issues and other related to climate change in their research endeavor. This administration is focused on providing a suitable environment for universities to grow and thrive so that they live up to the responsibilities and privileges with which they are entrusted. In recent times, government's investment in education has increased appreciably. This year's budget of over 500 billion naira for the education sector is the highest so far in recent times. It is our desire to apply every kobo of this budget to attend to the various needs in our universities and steadily ensure that they become more globally competitive as they are desired to do. Consequently, the need to adhere to best practices and due process in the application of funds has become imperative. Universities also benefit from intervention funds and assistance from development partners. The establishment of the Nigerian Research and Education Network and the 10 African Centers of Excellence are fallouts from our international obligations. In the face of decreased oil revenues, universities must more than ever before rise to the challenge of diversification, the national economy, and of creating opportunities for social development, scientific and technological advancement that will engender economic growth and empower Nigerians. While government continues to ensure that allocations are made to universities, I call on universities to evolve other means of supplementary government provisions, such as research grants, proceeds from product and patent discovery, and other internally generated revenue that brighten this prospect. You must continue to leverage on the goodwill of the various distinguished alumni of the University of Lagos to raise funds and resources for this university. As you are aware, the Vice President, Professor Yemi Oshibanjo, GCON, is an alumnus of this university. Similarly, the Unilag Alumni Association boasts of 4 serving governors and a deputy governor, including the governors of Lagos, Anambra, Gombe, Akwa Ibom states, and deputy governor of Abia. The current head of service, Mrs. Oyo Ita, is an alumna. 3 serving ministers, including Barrister Lai Mohammed, Information, Kayode Fayemi, Solid Minerals, and Dr. Ogbonaya Onu, Science and Technology, are alumni. Professionals and distinguished academics have not been left out of this elite group. Undoubtedly, the University of Lagos has come of age, contributing a fair share of the stream or cream of champions, countries of industry, multinational companies, and corporations. The university parades some of the most distinguished senior advocates of Nigeria, including the Vice President. It was said at one time that the University of Lagos contributed a significant percentage of the leadership in the corporate world and services. The university still has a fair share of the cream of champions of the economy because of the peculiar vision of being a professional-based university. Yale University, Harvard University, Stanford and Princeton universities are some of the many American universities thriving on the benevolence of their alumni and alumni. I salute the Alumni Association of UNILAG, led by Dr. Kuku, for all the support it has given to this great university. As a developing nation, our drive for social progress and economic advancement will depend largely on the progress we make in research and technology, and the synergy which we are able to create between and within the constituent parts of our society and sectors of the economy. There is no place more suited to begin this process than our universities and institutions of higher learning. Universities must be increasingly responsible to their immediate society, while the private sector must solicit the services of universities to help them in product development and service delivery. You must strive to regain the confidence of the private sector while strengthening the university industry arm of the tripartite relationship between government, university, and industry. I call on all universities to link up to the Nigerian Research and Education Network as already directed by the Honorable Minister of Education. It leverages state-of-the-art technology for ease and effectiveness of teaching learning, research, and resource sharing between universities, national research institutions, and industries. In today's knowledge-based economy, where the search for economic and technological advantage has made competition between countries even more intense, this collaboration and prudence in the management of resources are very vital. We are aware of the setback to research in our universities due to the flight of top academics, loss of research development assistance, and weakened links with overseas development partners during our years in isolation, which was exacerbated by this situation. In the relevant curricula have been reviewed to address challenges facing Nigeria. These challenges are mainly in the areas of power, food security, poverty, and climate change. Benchmark minimum academic standards for undergraduate and postgraduate academic programs have been developed and adopted and upgraded, as the case may be, to reflect the changing landscape of knowledge. The BMAS for undergraduate was presented a couple of days ago by the Honorable Minister of Education for circulation and further inputs by stakeholders. This administration is fully committed to embarking on sustainable visionary initiative and program that will reposition us for success. I implore all present to join ranks and endeavor to ensure that patriotism and service to the nation becomes the driving force in all our undertakings as Nigerian citizens. Leadership and civic education must therefore take their rightful place in our education system and political consciousness. Government will also continue to create employment and other opportunities for our youth to thrive and stem the tide of graduate unemployment. The Youth Employment in Agriculture Program, YEP, established under the auspices of the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development, is designed to empower market-oriented young agriculturists in the rural areas. We have placed higher education centers on course towards the actualization of the Presidential National Council on Education Directive and Recommendation on the entrenchment of entrepreneurship education in Nigerian higher education institutions. Our overall goal is to create a critical mass of Nigerian graduates that is imbued with the entrepreneurial culture and to impact entrepreneurial know-how to students and faculty in our institutions. UNILAG is a unique university as such. I want to believe that we can count on you to individually and collectively improve the image of Nigeria by being worthy ambassadors of your families and this great noble university. Another major point of concern is the need to redeem our image in the Committee of Nations by collectively tackling corruption in all spheres of life. Consequently, a radical approach is being adopted to stamp out corruption from our dear country and to enthrone the spirit of hard work, honesty, and inspiring leadership that will earn us respect among the Committee of Nations. Towards achieving this goal, the anti-corruption agencies of EFCC and ICPC, as well as DSS, have been strengthened to improve service delivery. The ICPC is working with the regulatory agencies for tertiary institutions and have developed relevant templates for synthesizing programs on corruption. This will enable anti-corruption agencies deal with corruption in academics, including issues involved in admission, examination administration, appointment and promotion, as well as financial management, amongst others. In a season when most universities have their convocation ceremonies in arrears, it is commendable that UNILAG is current. In addition, the evidence that your university has come of age is in the graduation list. Your postgraduate program have matured and providing appropriate and adequate facilities for graduate students to earn doctoral or philosophy degrees in most programs, in the sciences, social sciences, humanities, and professional programs. This assures government that the first generation universities are back on track to the university tradition of graduate assistantship and good research culture. The strength of a program is demonstrated in the result of Ayodele Dada, with perfect cumulative grade point average of 5/5 in psychology. And the best PhD graduate, Dr. Kolako Moyiwa Oyebola, who incidentally earned his first degree from the University of Ado-Ekiti. Access and quality are the twin problems in our universities. I'm glad to note that the Distant Learning Institute, which is accredited by the National University Commission, graduated 1,063 students, 12 of whom are in the first class honors. This certainly gives credence to such mode of studies, and government will continue to encourage distant learning. I would like to end this address by calling for all hands to be on deck in Reposition Nigeria. I also wish to use this opportunity to urge tertiary institutions to place greater emphasis on research activities, which will provide appropriate and practicable solutions to challenges confronting the country. Universities and their tertiary institutions and other tertiary institutions must embrace their roles as centers of enlightenment and mobilization of the citizenry towards achieving sustainable national growth and development. In conclusion, councils and management of universities should ensure and maintain cordial relationships, promote peace and unity with the host communities, and address some of their primary needs for peaceful coexistence. The universities also need to work with the security agencies to avoid frictions that may jeopardize their peaceful coexistence with the host communities. Provisions should be made for electronic help facilities for staff and students to address issues of identity and security. I again congratulate members of the University of Lagos community, the graduates, their parents, guardians, and friends for today's success story. I firmly believe that our country is full of opportunities and prospects for hardworking and persevering young men and women. Therefore, the only limit you have are the ones set by yourselves. I wish you all very best in your future endeavor. The reward for hard work is more work. I thank you for your kind attention. God bless the University of Lagos. God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you and God bless you.
The visitor of the University of Lagos, President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Nigeria, Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, read by the Executive Secretary, National Universities Commission, Professor Julius Okoje.
This is the network service of the NTA.
The metal gong, which is popularly referred to as ogene in the southeastern part of Nigeria, is a musical instrument made out of pieces of metal. In ancient times, the ogene does not only serve as a musical instrument, but also as a means of communication used by town criers to pass messages to the members of their various communities. In Igbo tradition, ogene is used by native doctors to invoke spirits. Also, in traditional wrestling matches,
Nigeria's quest for foreign direct investment has always been a cardinal objective of successive administrations of the country, an initiative that is not new. But what is new with the coming of the Buhari administration is the wide spectrum of general goodwill from across the globe for Nigeria, widening the scope of its investment attractions in various sectors of the economy. Of course, due largely to the posture of credibility of the leadership and the viability of his change agenda. Moment for Thought examines this scenario against the backdrop of Nigeria's quest for functional development in the current dispensation. With me in the studio is Senator Bukar Abba Ibrahim, Chairman, Senate Committee on Ecology and Climate Change. The distinguished senator was Governor of Yobe State. He is a quantity surveyor by profession. Also with me in the studio is Mr. Femi Adesina, Special Advisor to President Muhammadu Buhari on Media and Publicity. Mr. Femi Adesina is a journalist through and through, was the immediate past president of the Nigerian Guild of Editors, and I am Aliyu Bababaro of NTA. Mr. Adesina, you're welcome back.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Always a pleasure to be here.
Yes, thank you very much. Distinguished Senator, you're welcome once again.
It's a pleasure having me.
Yes. Well, let me start with Mr. Adesina. You've been shuttling across the globe. Right from take-up of this particular administration, lots of invitation to Nigeria. We won't say to just the President Muhammadu Buhari, but to Nigeria. A kind of beckoning gesture. Come forward. Let's see what you have today. Display to us so that we come in and be part of your progress story. How have you been observing the scenario? You've been part of these journeys. Just today, so to speak, that is Wednesday, you received there was a joint press conference by Mr. President and the President of the Republic of Turkey. They come, we go. How have you seen it?
Two-way traffic.
Yeah. Well, I'll say it's something that is quite inspiring. It's something that is encouraging. It's something that makes you feel good. I'll talk about something that happened in September when we went to the UN General Assembly. The head of our mission there told us that there had been 23 inquiries, 23 requests for leaders to meet with our president. 23. At the end of the General Assembly, he was able to meet with just 7. But 23 requests had come in. And that shows you where Nigeria is. It shows you the respect for the leadership. It shows you where our president is held all over the world. Yes. All over the world. Don't forget that in July last year, He was in Washington as guest of the American president. And when President Obama was addressing him, he said President Buhari came to his assignment with a high dose of integrity and credibility.
Interesting. Yes.
How better can it be? When you hear that as a Nigerian, you feel proud that this country that was once derided, that was once disdained, now is held at that level of respectability.
Yeah, distinguished Senator, you've gone around in politics and public administration, and that the governor, being governor of Yobe State, two times. Yeah, I think the longest time.
Three times.
Three times.
Yes,
one was not completed.
2 times presidential aspirant.
Aspirant, yes. You know?
So only President Buhari who knocked me out.
So congratulations on that.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm glad he knocked me out.
Yes.
Not somebody else.
Yes. And incidentally, you're a grassroots man.
I have a lot of respect for.
Beautiful. And incidentally, you're a grassroots man.
Yes.
Moment for thought does some kind of reflections.
Yes.
And what do we have on the table as a nation? Collective responsibility. Being the Galadiman in Gazargam, the old, and incidentally, when Mr. President was receiving during the press conference, he made reference to Kanem Empire.
Yes,
you know, the relationship. So it's not today. Nigeria's relationship to the global community. How do you see the scenario today?
Well, the scenario today is a very, very happy one. We've got a man who is credible, a man who is trusted, a man who has been tested, a man who is honest, straightforward, a leader who has nothing to hide and nothing to fear. That's the kind of leadership we need at the grassroots in a developing country. Nigeria has been yearning for this kind of leadership for a long time. There's always been a disappointment in one form or another. But today I believe Nigerians are happy. Today I believe the world is happy that we have Mr. President, President Buhari, who can go anywhere, who has respect everywhere, and who is wanted in almost all parts of the world. That's the kind of background we need to get out of the woods, particularly when we're in trouble, like we are now. In the economy is in terrible situation. Oil prices slammed from $100 and something per barrel to 30. Now, people who have looted our money, the government is trying to get back those looted monies. People are not even bothered much about what kind of punishment that is going to be meted out to them. What we are most interested in now, what most Nigerians are interested in now is how to get back every kobo that has been stolen. The government can decide later what to do with them. That's not the main problem with Nigeria. We want to recover economically. God has given us everything any country will ever desire. We have the people, we have the resources. We've not been able to develop those resources to satisfy the yearnings of our people.
Yes.
And that's our basic problem. I know this is the main problem of the whole of the developing world. But Nigeria being the biggest, with the highest population of black people in the world, with a very heavy responsibility, heavy population, and unlimited resources, we should take charge of how best to go about developing our country for the benefit of ordinary Nigerians, the benefit of all Nigerians, not just a few Nigerians who will come and loot and go and make themselves and their families comfortable.
Yes.
That's the big difference. That's what has been expected, and we've got this now. It is now left to us to make the best use of this leadership, which is for the masses, this leadership God has given us, so that we can take our country out of the woods.
Yes. Well, in search of a workable corporate entity, you have a system, a country, a very great country like Nigeria. Leadership, they say, is not enough, but it gives the way, shows the light, and people find the way. Just as Mr. President has always been saying. Even from inauguration, let me quote a little bit of what he said. He said, I cannot recall when Nigeria enjoyed such goodwill abroad as now. Nigeria, therefore, has a window of opportunity to fulfill our long-standing potential of pulling ourselves together and realizing our mission as a great nation. We have an opportunity. Let us take it.
Yes.
How have you observed now the workload of really revamping the economy, bring Nigeria back to track? Left to the government alone, or how do you see the response of the general public, especially Let's start from the various segments of governance, the institutions of government, the executive, legislature, and the judiciary. How is it happening?
It's like His Excellency and the distinguished senator has said, we are down economically now. Nigeria is in the woods. In fact, I doubt if we have ever had it this bad. Things were quite bad in 1983 when the then General Buhari came, but I doubt if they were as bad as they are now. Things are quite bad economically. And we are fortunate that we have somebody who is sure-footed, who is painstaking, who is patient. I tell you that there's a slight difference between President Buhari of today and General Buhari of 31 years ago. Age has tempered him, and he can take a lot more than he could take then. And so he's working methodically and painstakingly to get Nigeria out of the woods. And he said at a forum in one country recently that maybe in another 18 months, he believes there will be light at the end of the tunnel. So what I would just like all Nigerians to do, all the institutions, including the private sector, including the civil populace, is to be patient with a man who has identified this, what the trouble with the Nigerian economy is working to get things back on stream, and this is a man you can trust. So if he tells you sacrifice, if he tells you tighten your belt, he will not go somewhere and be, and be doing something different. Whatever he tells you to do, be sure that he's leading the way in it. So I just think Nigeria has a crucial opportunity to get things right and get it very, very right. And it will demand that everyone, the institutions, look at what happened with the budget, for instance. The president himself said what he presented to the National Assembly was not what emerged eventually, because some people distorted it.
Level of honesty.
Yes, some people padded it, they distorted it. That is not what you expect at a time like this. Rather, we expect that we will all team up with the president, a man that we can trust. Like I tell people, when this president tells you something, you can take it to the bank. We can believe him. We can believe him. So,
and you collect the legal tender.
So I believe that rather than criticism, rather than what I call wailing, because you find some people wailing endlessly, rather than all that wailing, let's trust this government, let's team up with it, and let's see our country get out of the woods in the shortest possible time.
Distinguished senators, you started saying something about Nigeria's potentialities.
Yes.
Nigeria is a land of many contrasts, a land of many bounties. No single feature of Nigeria could do full justice to the numerous attractions, numerous potentialities of this country. So we have something to sell to the global community, and today is the right time. How do we go about it?
Well, the way we go about it actually is, one, we have the most important resource in the world. That's the human resource. We have the second most important resource in the world. That is our material resources, particularly the oil and other minerals in the ground which we have not yet extracted to use for our common good. And then we have the third most important thing along that line, a leadership. A leadership we know, a leadership we trust, a leadership that is has credibility, and a leader who has analyzed our situation very well. The day I started becoming very comfortable about Mr. President Buhari was when he analyzed Nigerian situation and said there are three main issues he's going to attack. Number one, corruption, fighting corruption. Number two, fighting for the economic revival of the country. And number three, the economy. If security. These are the three most fundamental problems Nigeria was facing at the time he took over. And these are three things he's still battling with. Unfortunately for us, all Nigerians are his support. And not only Nigerians, but the whole world has now come to accept these. And I believe when these three problems are solved to a reasonable extent, Nigeria will be on the line to the real greatness we deserve. But as a politician, I want to add one more to Mr. President's 3 cardinal principles, 3 fundamental problems he has analyzed for this country. And the 4th one, which is the most difficult, which doesn't have to start immediately, is free and compulsory education for the Nigerian child, both boys and girls. If Mr. President eventually, it doesn't have to be today, eventually acts those 4 things will really go for the whole 8 years, we are hoping he is going to stay in the presidency. And once that one happens, I don't think any country in Africa will think of going anywhere near Nigeria. We'll maintain our #1 position as the economy and #1 position as the greatest country and #1 position as the greatest black nation in the world. These 4 cardinal principles, the 3 of which he has already started working on.
Yes.
The 4th one, I'm his junior brother, I'm adding it to him. He has to decide when to start this 4th one. It doesn't really matter whether it's 1 year or 3 years or 4 years. If and when he believes it is possible, let him start.
Yes.
I know it's a very difficult thing, but all difficult things are started by human beings.
Yes.
The most difficult things are started in a very simple and understandable manner. When you make things simple and people understand it, they will put all their resources and make sure that it succeeds.
Yes. Mr. Additioner, you spoke about whaling from you know, this reminds one about the fight against corruption.
Yes.
Everybody said everybody is corrupt. The nation is corrupt. We must rectify the situation. But once the battle started, there were wailings here and there. Yes. And what better area people to cry out than the media, the 4th estate. And you belong to us. You are our president, the Guild of Editors. So how do you see this fighting against corruption? Is it not for Mr. President alone or the people at government, individuals, corporate entities, communities? How do we carry this message alone? You could see some of the jingles being played on NTA against corruption. How do we carry this message to permeate across the nooks and crannies of this great country?
Thank you. I believe the media has a very great role to play in this. We have a president who has decided to lead the anti-corruption war from the front.
Yes.
And then the onus is on Nigerians to back him up. We don't have to leave him alone to say it is his war. No, it is not his war. It is our war. It's the war for our children. It's the war for the incoming generation. It's the war for children unborn. At least we can have a country to bequeath to them if we all take this as our war. And if that will happen, the media has a great role to play. The media has a very great role to play. In fact, the media itself should own the war. They should own the war. There should be a lot of advocacy for success of the anti-corruption war coming from the media. We see it. We see a fraction of it, but I think we can see more of it.
Yeah, you saw the Minister of Information and Culture going about the media house, the individual media houses to talk about that.
Yes.
Galvanizing the general society for greater Nigeria. As a governor, as a legislator now, and as grassroots man, what is the way forward? Corporate identity of Nigeria.
Well, the way forward is the way we have started. I believe we have started very well. And the way we started is having a leader who is ready to fight corruption. Here I am, I'm going to fight corruption. Corruption, do your worst. People come and support me, fight corruption. That's our #1 problem in this country today. It is retarding our progress, not my progress, not your progress. It is retarding our progress overall. It's retarding the progress of the whole country. Please come, let's fight together. Of course, we have started very, very well. And we have to fight the institutional corruption more than any other corruption. That is not to say that you will forget about the individual. No, if any individual steals anything, catch him, lock him up, he's just a small rat, and then move on. But institutional corruption is what we must be fighting, seem to be fighting collectively, so that people will not even offer bribe, for example, not to talk about taking it. If there is nobody to give bribe, who will take it? Educate the people Make them see that corruption is retarding our progress. Don't think just because you have stolen a few million naira, you've done something. What about the millions of others who don't have anything? What kind of development are you talking about? So let us fight collectively. Let us progress collectively. Let us prosper collectively. That is where we have to move next. But we have started very, very well by directly catching those who have looted our money with reasons. I mean, we have facts and figures to show. We are not in any way trying to do injustice to anybody. All the details will be there for everybody to see. The lawyers are there, the courts are there. We try them, find them guilty, collect whatever we can collect, and then move forward.
No hindrance anywhere.
No hindrance so far. And I think the press has done so far. The press has done very well in supporting Mr. President. And the masses of this country are also doing very well in supporting Mr. President. The judiciary and the legislature are also supporting Mr. President. You need to see in the Senate when we are debating national issues. Nobody even thinks about whether it's APC or PDP. Nobody bothers about APC, PDP. What people are bothered about is what is in front of them, what they are debating in the interest of this country. Our Senate really is one of the most interesting groups you can ever meet in this country. You will even forget where you belong to.
Is in that spirit you are scrutinizing the budget now?
Yes, we are. We are scrutinizing the budget. I think by today, almost all committees would have given their reports to the appropriation committee. The budget, as Mr. Adesina said earlier, was really messed up initially. We don't know why exactly it went on. I think this is something for another day. We'll find out. But the whole thing, when we got our, I'm a member of 4 committees and chairman of a committee. When we got the figures, they are all mixed up. So we had to get the ministry, the original ministry that submitted those tender documents, those budget figures. We had to get their own report before we were able to see any meaning out of what we were doing. Look at it, for example, in Pharma, the engineers in Pharma wanted 70 million naira to fix a certain road. I'm just giving one example. When it went to national planning and budget office, they jacked it up to 380 million naira. Now, why did they get the 310 million naira? We discovered the figures were just mixed up, and they were talking about templates and all that. But anyway, we were able to get the original figures. We sorted them out along with the professionals, and we were able to get a clean copy of the report, and we submitted it to the appropriation committee.
So they
which is the main committee. Ours is a subcommittee.
The great news is that all institutions of government are working in tandem with the change agenda.
Yes.
I'm talking about the collective responsibility.
Yes.
Mr. Femi Adesina, at the beginning of this discussion, you made reference to Buhari as a general and a head of state. And today, Muhammad Buhari as president of Nigeria. Let me recall, as I always do on this program, Nigeria is our country. We must remain here and salvage it together. We've got no other one. You remember the 1983 jingle on NTA?
Yes.
Then you relate it with what he said. Today we have window of opportunity to fulfill our long-standing potential of pulling ourselves together and realizing our mission as a great nation. Whether a uniform or no uniform, is the same message. It is the nation we are talking about. To wind up this discussion, let's discuss the nation against the backdrop of collective responsibility. What is your last word on this program? In this aspect?
My last word will be that Nigeria has a great opportunity to now become a true nation state. Nigeria has been a conglomeration of ethnic nationalities. All those diversities are still there, but those diversities can be turned into strength. And what I would like to see this administration achieve is to forge this country into a true nation state. It will take all of us. It will take all of us cooperating with a government we can believe in. You know, there's a lot of skepticism in Nigeria. They don't trust, they never used to trust government. But this is a government you can trust. And if you trust this government and collaborate with it, it is for our collective good.
And it has international trust as well.
Oh, yes. Tremendous.
Yes. Distinguished Senator.
Well, I believe we can use the spectrum of general goodwill, as you said in your introduction, since we have got a government and the president who is credible, a government which is viable, and the program of viability of change agenda, the change mantra Nigerians have been waiting for so long, and Nigerians have now embraced. Let us make the best use of that leadership, the embrace, the way Nigerians have embraced it, whether it's executive, judiciary, or legislature. We are all working in unison. Let's work for another 2-3 years. People in the world will see wonders. Nigeria was going to make real progress. Nigerians will be proud of their country. Just like Mr. Adesina has said, there's been a lot of skepticism in this country. We will now begin to believe in our country. We believe because we have got a leadership that has made us believe in our country. And Nigeria will definitely be one of the greatest countries in the world, inshallah.
Thank you very much, distinguished Senator Abubakar Abba Ibrahim, for honoring our invitation on Moment for Thought.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Femi Adesina.
Thank you.
Have you gotten time to rest from the journey?
It's a national assignment.
Yes. Thank you very much. And that has been Moment for Thought, talking about collective responsibility in a great nation like Nigeria. And while the institutions of governance are working together, and of course the general society, I suppose, and individually too. Nigeria is our country. We got no other one. We must remain here and salvage it together. And that is the salvation that we're making. Thank you for watching. Until we meet again on Moment for Thought. Goodbye.
The metal gong, which is popularly referred to as ogene in the southeastern part of Nigeria, is a musical instrument made out of pieces of metal. In ancient times, the ogene does not only serve as a musical instrument, but also as a means of communication used by town criers to pass messages to the members of their various communities. In Igbo tradition, ogene is used by native doctors to invoke spirits. Also, in traditional wrestling matches, the ogene is beaten in order to boost the spirits of the wrestlers. The import of ogene in the traditional Igbo society cannot be overemphasized. That is why basically every music group in Igbo land uses an ogene. The ogene is known to be produced in commercial quantities in Oka, the capital.
This is the network service of the NTA.
Girl, I love the way you do me, do me, do me, do me, do me, do me, do me.
Boy, I love the way you do me, do me, do me, do me, do me, do me.
Now the way you they do me, you go wonder, my baby.
Now the way you they do me, you go wonder, oh.
So now she step into the clubhouse. See how the boys them a drop down. And all the ladies just the holla say. Them no say wahala day. If you don't so you take a easy, make it no dey fall. This not a song for the dancer. The way you move your body, girl, it be like say. You no say wahala day. Now the way you they do the things you do, it be like say you get plans for me and you. If I put it on you, you put it on me. What a man can do, a woman can do. So if you do me, I do you. Man no go vex up on the dance floor. Man no go vex, touch me, I touch you. Man no go vex, you say. Man no go vex, I say. Man no go vex.
If you do me, I do you.